Hi, this is Susan Specht Oram, author of the Millersville Thriller series, and I'm here with my writing assistant, Abby. There she is. And I wanted to talk a little bit about inspiration today in this video about writer's process. So I've always been fascinated with islands, and when I was maybe 10, 11 years old, my parents shipped me off to summer camp in Georgian Bay on a little island called Huckleberry Island. And there were 60 girls, and the boat mechanic and maintenance man was called Slim. He must have been about 50 years old, but I thought he was about 80. And so we would go swimming at 7 in the morning in the really cold Georgian Bay waters. And it was a small little island. And the camp counselors were mostly PE teachers from around Canada and Ontario. So it was just a fascinating place to live, this little island, for 2 months every summer. For, I think, 5 years I went there. And so I just grew to love the feeling of being isolated and stranded in a way, but also inspired by the beauty and the granite rocks and the blue water, and the fact that you could be self-sufficient on a little island, as long as you had Slim going to town and getting the supplies, I guess. But it was just a very inspiring setting, and I grew up wanting to live on an island. And so finally, when my husband retired from the Pacific Northwest Ballet Orchestra as principal trumpet, in 2014, we ended up moving to Anacortes full-time, and Anacortes is on an island, Fidalgo Island, near the San Juan Islands. So here I was just inspired to start writing novels based on this area, and it's just a lovely place to live. As my little writing assistant, sorry, trying to get dog bone treat out of here. Yep, okay, there she is. Okay, sorry, photo skills lacking. We'll go back to the author here. Thank you for your patience. I'm not a videographer. I don't intend to train as one, and so I really appreciate you hanging in with me and subscribing to my YouTube channel, where I share views of the area that inspires me, and the Pacific Northwest and the small town I live in, Anacortes, Washington. And okay, so we moved here, and we're on an island, and it's really cool because it's reachable by 2 bridges. And so we have the beauty of being able to drive off, as all Americans must, to Costco and into the valley for trips to bigger stores. And then we can do our shopping here in town, and there's a bookstore, Watermark Book Company, on Commercial Avenue, carries signed copies of my paperbacks if you're interested, but enough sales pitch about that. And the beaches are just marvelous, and the boating here is just gorgeous. So we had boated here, my husband and I, for years before, and we just didn't know what a gem this little town was. But I suppose that's about often the way it is before you move to a place. You don't really know what it's like until you settle in and get to know people, and hopefully it's a good experience, but every now and then it can turn sour, and that's the basis of mystery and thriller books, isn't it? When things turn sour. Or I was writing the second book in a new series. Second book is Missing Man, and it follows under Jackson Bridge. And so in my mind, that's when one of the characters goes bad. And I was thinking of having mugs and posters made up when this character goes bad. Anyway, I can't say his name or her name because I don't want to give the part of the plot away right now. But I think that you'll find it an engrossing story, Missing Man, when it comes out in November. I might release it a little early if I get it edited and to the point where I think it's a gripping page turner and a satisfying read to follow under Jackson Bridge. But we will see how long it takes. In the last year, unfortunately, we've had some life events in my family. So my brother had open heart surgery in November, and he is recovering from that and doing much better than you might hope or expect. So that's wonderful news. My dad passed away June 13th last year, and I had a book signing I was going to do, and I was going to sell books in the days after he passed down here at the port shed, and I had a great booth spot, and I have a little square device to go on my phone. I was going to sell paperbacks and interact with people, and that was going to be loads of fun, but it didn't happen. And you know what? It doesn't really matter, does it? Family matters most, and friends matter, and our human connections. So I was able to stay with my mother and help her for 2 weeks until my husband's back went out and he couldn't walk our lovely little dog here. So oh, and then my husband Jerry, he had 2 heart attacks in April, so he's recovering. Things are going better, but you just never know what's going to go on in your life. And so we'll see if I release Missing Man early. In a way, it might be better if I did, because get that story out into the world faster, and then if something comes up again in the family, then I won't have to worry about it. That will take the pressure off. But we will see. And I'm thinking about the 3rd book and thinking about a 4th book. I know some writers plan out their entire series, and I used to do that and outline in detail. But for me, I found that it takes away some of the joy in writing and the discovery process, writing into the dark, as many of us call it. It's just more fun for me, and I think the readers get the joy a little bit more, because I don't know exactly what's going to happen. I know something must happen, a twist in every few chapters, and we need to learn more about a character. The discovery happens for me along the way, even though I have an overarching idea before I go into it. And sometimes I'm surprised too at the twists and turns that the book takes. Or I might change it after I draft it. And my editor, Sue Toth is her name, T-O-T-H. She might say, oh, this just isn't quite up to snuff. Or my husband is a beta reader for me, early reader, and one book, he just said, nope, that's not going to work. And Sue, my editor, said that too. So I put that book aside, and I may rewrite it entirely. That was written after my dad died, and turned out that just wasn't a good time to write, but I felt it was therapeutic. So I think creative processes are always a discovery journey. We learn about ourselves. And I used to be a potter and a painter for 10 years. I made my living that way, and had a small gallery and studio, pottery studio, in North Seattle in Ballard, which is now a very trendy part of Seattle. It was more quaint fishermen when I was there. But anyway, I learned from working in clay and painting that we don't always know as artists what the final product will turn out like. Okay, well, I've talked long enough. Let me know in the comments on this video if you have topics you'd like me to cover in future videos. And have a fabulous life and a wonderful day. All right, take care. Bye-bye.